Howdy and welcome back to our final section of Chapter 2. So in this group, or in this section, we are going to be talking primarily about competitor analysis and also complementers. So focusing first on competitor analysis, this focuses on each company against which a firm competes directly. In a competitor analysis, a firm seeks to understand competing firms' future objectives, current strategy, assumptions, and strengths and weaknesses. Knowledge about these four dimensions can help the firm prepare an anticipated response profile for each competitor. So, looking at future objectives, we'll ask certain questions such as, how do our goals compare with our competitors' goals? Where will the emphasis be placed in the future? What is the attitude toward risk? Here's one thing to talk a little bit about how companies might view the future. So Micron Technology, operating in semiconductors, has a great incentive to grow production capacity because that increases economies of scale. Other companies also have the same. So you'll notice here, right before the financial crash in 2008, that the companies were growing. Their assumptions for the future were that the industry was getting stronger, and many companies continued to invest in both DRAM, traditional computer memory, and flash memory, NAND, capital expenditure. This resulted in a situation of overcapacity right before a financial collapse. You can see the significant change in expectations for firms in their expansion. We'll look at their current strategy. So how are we currently competing? Does this strategy support changes in the competitive structure? Something that we can watch here is what's actually happening now. Micron could look at its cash flow from operations and see that it was cash flow positive. Competitors, on average, were struggling more, and were having quarters in which they were actually burning more cash than they were bringing in. When you look at how you're competing relative to how your competitors are competing, you can see where certain advantages may be. We'll look at assumptions. Do we assume the future will be volatile? Are we operating under a status quo? What assumptions do our competitors hold about the industry and about themselves? So here's one assumption. Looking forward, in computer memory, the average selling price decreases over time. Economies of scale go up, and therefore the cost of goods also tends to go down over time. The goal of any company is to have the cost of goods go down faster than the average selling price while raising the number of units sold, increasing capacity. When this is the trend that you know, this can help you develop what your assumption should be for how the future will look. This is a trend that's happened for decades, and so companies can assume that it will continue to happen in the future. And then we look at capabilities. What are our strengths and weaknesses, and how do we rate compared to our competitors? My position at Micron Technology was primarily based on figuring out how we rated compared to our competitors. I would look at financials, and others on my team would look at how we compared in technological dimensions. How are our chips coming out? Are we doing a better or worse job than them? And by knowing how we compared to them and comparing those capabilities, we were able to make decisions and to plan for the future. One of these things that we could look at was debt to capital ratio. Micron was a lot more conservative than a lot of its competitors, and we were able to, as a result, know that we were financially strong when many weren't. Many others were very highly leveraged, and because some of those were very highly leveraged, we were able to take advantage of our financial stability in making important long-term moves. So we look at all of this and come up with what our responses might be. What will our competitors do in the future? Where do we hold an advantage over our competitors? How will this change our relationship with our competitors? So competitor intelligence is the set of data and information the firm gathers to better understand and anticipate competitors' objectives, strategies, assumptions, and capabilities. When gathering competitive intelligence, a firm must pay attention to the complementors of its products and strategy as well. So, in fact, let me back up just a little bit and talk about the complementors. So a complement is anything that goes well with another product. If you're going to eat a pizza, you probably want a drink to go with it. If you're going to go to college, it's helpful to have an apartment and textbooks. These are complements to your college education. When you buy one thing, what else do you need to buy to go with it? So your final question here is, what complements go well with a car? When you buy that car, what else do you have to pay for over time to be able to enjoy use of your car? And what complements go well with a Super Bowl broadcast? If you're watching the game, what else have you spent your money on?